Welcome to another special show. I'm sorry. Sorry about the late start, but we had some issues.
I knocked down the camera.
I wasn't.
I knocked down the camera.
I wasn't gonna say.
The cord was not taped down, and it was too high, and I knocked it down.
Okay.
So it's gonna get that out.
Well,
right,
before I say
yeah. So now you ineffective now.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't going to even say that. I was just telling them we had some issues. Let's jump into the blitz.
Okay.
Let's go ahead. Go ahead and jump into the blitz.
So anyway, Joe Biden, y'all know, man, Joseph Biden, he's in the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks.
Put his foot in his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, he did it before, but he did it again. He's made some unnecessary, insensitive racial comment. And of course, don't take much for our people, to overreact. And again, guys, we got to keep our eyes on the ball here, man. Keep our eyes on the prize. Understand the objective is to get that guy out of office. And so I'm not taking up for Biden by a long shot. I mean, Biden, he could be a closet racist. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We got to get the other guy out. And then, like I've said before, the power move is 2024. Hold the guy accountable. But again, it's just another distraction. And we so easily distracted. It's bad enough we got Kanye West. And man, you would think that it's so obvious for our people to see what he's doing, but man, he's literally got some votes, man. He got our people supporting him, man. And I'm just hoping that it's not enough to splinter the vote. It's so obvious what he's doing to help out Trump. But anyway, that's just my thing. Is just stay focused, and I'll come back around for another one. You got something
with that being said, do you think that we still need to push for Biden, even though he did make them racial comments or whatever the case may be, because it may not be as bad as him being in office than what we got in office right now?
There's nobody worse than what we got. And no, we can't get sidetracked at all.
So you basically telling me we dealing with either electric, well, let's not even say it, guillotine or lethal injection. One's fast, one's slow, basically.
Basically. But that's why we got to keep a close eye on him, hold him accountable when he gets in office, make him earn the vote. We know he's going to say the right thing. He's going to attach himself to the hip to Obama. Mm-hmm. That's going to automatically, But again, we can't be fooled by that. We can't let him throw Obama in our face and be like, "Oh, okay, he good." No, that's not going to work. So, but again, we just got to stay focused, y'all. That's it.
Well, and I guess it's kind of tied into that. I just again wanted to, reiterate that, the power. There's power in voting, but that's not where the majority of the power lies. And we're looking at it like that, but we need resources. That's where our power lies. I mean, we have to develop our own land. We have to open, and then so now we can throw our hat in that ring, so to speak, when it's time to get this bill vote, passed and whatnot.
We don't have much weight.
No, we don't. And that's the thing. So, and the issue now becomes that the people who actually have the money to get us, they're not doing that. Yeah. They're just going telling us to go vote.
Right.
And that's not, because listen. Democrats are just as full of it as Republicans. Let's just say what it is. They are.
Speak on.
So, I mean, with that being said, we have to have some leverage more than a vote, because once they get in there, it's pretty much going to be, they're going to carry out their own agenda. Or, in other words, they're going to follow the money. Yep. So we
got it. They'll throw us a couple of bones.
Yeah.
They'll throw us a couple of bones. They may extend Black History Month. Maybe stretch it into maybe halfway through spring.
Make BET relevant again.
Exactly. So for some of us, it don't take much, and we'll be barbecuing and celebrating over something like that. But anyway. Oh, do you have anything? I got
mine. I'm back on the COVID-19.
Uh-huh.
Should they go back or should they stay at home?
Oh, you're talking
about the kids. School. And the reason why I say that, because as of now, there has been 486,000 new cases.
You talking about in the country?
No, that's just in Texas. So my thing is, if we send the kids back to school, we're going into the unknown. We don't know what really can happen. If we don't send them back to school, I understand like some of the parents, they trying to work, they got to get to work, and they don't want to keep their kids at home. But what the middle class is doing, they starting their own educational pods, meaning that they got buildings that they probably buying or renting out, and they having tutors to come in, and the tutors are teaching their kids. But the low income class don't have that option.
I don't even think the middle class got that.
Well, no,
that's straight upper class.
But the middle, they said the middle classes, that's what they're working on. But what I do like, the Girls and Boys Club in San Antonio, Texas, they are starting their own educational pods for the low income students to provide them with the same thing that the middle class and the upper class kids are being able to have far as in tutoring and stuff like that. And they're coming from nonprofit organizations.
Oh, let me ask you this. These pods, well, what do they consist of? I mean, so you're still bringing children together? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think what they're doing, like they blocking them like some of the high schools doing now. Like you may have, let's say, letters A through C come or whatever the case may be. And then the numbers varies too, depending on how many kids or how many families want to involve their kids in going to the pods. So I'm pretty sure if it's like 100 kids, they may say, okay, we're only going to take 10 or
so
15.
They don't have a choice.
No.
It depends on.
Oh, you talking about the parents have a choice? Or like when their kids go?
Right.
Nah, I don't think they have a choice. I think it'll be up to the people that's running the pods.
And I think that you should have the option to send your child back if you want, and then.
No, a lot of schools they do have options. They have the options, to send the kids to school or stay at home.
Okay.
Let me piggyback on what you said earlier, though. In Georgia, the first week of school, they had 230 students that had to be quarantined, 8 teachers.
I saw that.
Look, man, we on a petri dish, bro. We guinea pigs. I'm telling you now. And I will be shocked if we get past September without just going straight virtual learning. I'll be shocked if these kids come back. I'm talking about our district because our kids don't come back till the 18th.
Right.
So
and we start Monday.
Well, yeah, we start Monday tomorrow. But I will be shocked that if we actually get through these next 4 to 6 weeks without just no.
We just talking about schooling, man. I'm still trying to figure out like athletics. Like, how is it gonna possibly happen? You got the NFL, you got the NBA, which are billion-dollar networks. They putting these people in bubbles, and they still coming up infected. Some people still not getting quarantined. They're going on the court and they're infecting others. But you got high school kids. The only time you can monitor them is on the field. But once they leave the field, what they doing?
Exactly.
They going to parks and playing basketball
till 12 o'clock at night on 53rd Street.
You got Division 2 and Division 3 have already canceled all of their fall championships. So it'd be no football. There's not going to be no volleyball.
Wow.
What else goes on? Indoor track, none of that.
Division 2
and Division 3.
But yet, Texas high school football.
Man, football is king here.
So it's more about the money now.
King, do I have time for another one?
Man, go ahead, man.
Man, now we're on coronavirus. Hey, man, I think this coronavirus, have y'all been watching the NBA?
Yes.
What you think, man?
Talking about like far as the structure of the game?
Yeah, watching it, does it keep your interest the same, or is it just kind of like watching Summer League?
It's like Summer League.
Yeah, so it don't feel professional enough.
Yeah, no. And I kind of wonder how it feels for the players.
Yeah, I mean, now my point of saying all this is that y'all know they got those 17-foot digital screens. You got 3 of them in the arena.
Right.
And, you can pay whatever amount of money, and
Have your
virtually
picture.
you out there screaming and hollering for your team.
I said that.
Yeah, they're doing it.
I said that.
Yeah. So my thing is, I'm just looking at the future. Could this be the way we do sports?
But see, my thing is
You know
the reason why I wouldn't fall for that, because before I pay for a virtual ticket so you can look at your TV just to see that I'm at the game, I can just watch the game on my television.
Yeah, that don't make no sense for me to pay.
But you got people doing that because they know we viewing the game, and I may say, "Oh, that's the legend."
Well, you know, and you gotta look at who's doing it. I know I saw one and Lil Wayne was on there, but I mean, no, I mean, you know, so I'm not.
But look at
it's
the
experience.
though.
Yeah,
Look
but
at
the convenience is me sitting right there and watching the game.
But being interactive though with the game, actually, like I'm yelling, Russell Westbrook can hear me yelling. I feel like I'm affecting the game.
But we don't know if he can hear you yelling though.
They do hear it. They hear the yells. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't. You know what? I don't have proof of that. I know there are sounds of crowds. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's actually the people that's doing the virtual, digital, you know, fans in the seats. But anyway, when I was watching the Rockets beat up on the Lakers the other day,
I knew he was.
How did you not? Well, you are psychic. You knew that was coming.
Can I ask a question on that?
I'm not finished my point.
Okay.
So when I was watching that, I was like, man, you know what, dude? This can actually be the future, man. I can actually see this happening, but especially if this COVID thing will get under control. But
I know I would never pay to just, you know. Yeah, I'm already paying, you know, for the cable to watch the game. I'd rather be there if I'm gonna do that. So that don't make no sense.
Oh, you want to?
No, I'm gonna let it ride. I mean, because your Rockets did win, but you know LeBron wasn't playing, and you know he wasn't fully stacked.
Neither was Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
No, I think the Lakers probably missing more key players. But it is what it is. A win is a win, a loss is a loss, man. And if you put 5 people out there, you got to. There you go.
They getting paid like the other 5. Right?
There you go. There you go. Okay. Yeah. With that being said, we're gonna step away for break. When we come back, how many guests we have? 2. We're gonna have 2 special guests. When we get back. And once we get back, we'll give you the topic that we're going to speak upon again. Hopefully, we won't have any mishaps while we go to break. Think you can stay in your seat. All right. With that being said,
I've already owned up.
With that being said, we're gonna step away. All right, we back live in the upper room, and we're going to discuss our miseducation. And I guess when I say our miseducation, what do you gather from that?
Man, just information, education, things that's been passed down from generation to generation, not being informed, things we've been taught that ain't relevant today. You know, we have to always continue to evolve and grow, and we can go a number of places.
Well, let me ask you this. You say things we've been taught that aren't relevant today. Now, don't you think that falls more on us than the people that taught us? Because
you don't blame them.
Yeah, because they taught what was relevant at the time.
Exactly. But it is our responsibility as the next generation to learn from that information, whether it's the wrong information or things that need to be tweaked or things that need to be changed. We have to keep evolving and recognize it. A lot of times we don't recognize it, but here's the problem. It's still being taught. The later generations are still teaching some of the stuff that really is not effective today. But I guess, we'll get into more detail as you move us forward.
Well, what I'm saying is it's so many things that we've been misinformed on, whether it's religion, church religion, things that we're taught in school, not taught in school, who our heroes should be. Just a number of things. Just a number of things. And so when I pose that to you, Zeke, what goes on in your head?
Just the same thing off of like religion said, like misinformation, things that our kids are being taught today that we probably wasn't taught, we probably wasn't taught how our parents was taught. They not informing us on information in the schools, like far as the history from the people that was fighting for us or marching for us. Like, they don't teach nothing about Martin Luther King in school. They don't teach nothing about Malcolm X in school because they label these guys as being bad guys, but they was political fighters that was trying to fight for rights and freedoms for us to ride on buses or to have the right to vote or whatever, things like that. And then same thing like in law enforcement, we was always taught that the police are bad. And then you look at the images now on what's happening in our society with law enforcement, but that don't make all of them bad, because you have some police officers that's out there, and before they interrogate you, they try to educate you on what you should and what you should not be doing.
On what you should and shouldn't be doing as far as what? Respecting them or giving them the respect that they deserve? Is that what you're talking about?
And vice versa. I mean, some of them give us the respect too, but.
And it ain't just our kids though.
Yeah,
it's grown adults that's
not
getting the right information, man. It ain't just the kids, like they not doing what they're supposed to do. In fact, I'm pretty sure we can have a pretty good debate. Hell, this new generation, these millennials, man, they on point a little bit. I mean, they don't have, especially when it comes to religion. My children are not brainwashed by fire and brimstone and that old school way of how the religions back in the day had you oppressed and making you think it's where. My children don't have that type of, so they're able to transcend and elevate and be able to see things on a higher level much quicker than it took me in 47 years. I just got to a certain place 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I look at this new generation, they do got their issues, but there are some advantages of not having that misinformation embedded in your head, brainwashed a certain way, and they're more free thinkers.
Well, can I say this?
Yeah.
On our defense and the generations that came before, they readily have more information available. You
talking about now.
Now you can open up a laptop, you can jump on your phone, you can research. Then what did we have? We had what we learned in school,
mm-hmm.
And then you had that what was it? One encyclopedia a month for however. you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there you go. But that's what we had.
But you know what, King, to go off of what you just said, yeah, that is true. They can get on a laptop, they can get on their smartphones and stuff like that. But a lot of the information you get on, and I joke with my wife about this all the time, but a lot of information you get from the internet not necessarily always true.
Well, it may not be true, but let's focus on what's true. Let's focus on what's true. And they have more access to that than what we did.
I think they have more truth available than we did, because think about it, when we was in school, of course, the government controlled
what was
the
taught.
Education. Exactly.
And
They
still do.
Yeah, they still do, right. But you can go to the internet and get the truth. You have this generation have that option. We didn't have that.
And that's why I say we didn't learn about Nat Turner and very little about Malcolm X and Elder Cleve, but they taught us about Dr. King's nonviolent movement, because that was just a form of control.
Exactly.
That's how you should be.
Exactly.
That's how you should be.
Turn the other cheek.
Yeah, but anyway, I won't go in there. But we have our first guest coming up. And let me read this. What's her name?
Miss Jamie Williams.
Miss Jamie
Brown. Jamie Brown Williams.
She in a relation?
Jamie Williams. No, Jamie Brown Williams. Yeah.
Is she in a relation to you?
It's my little sister.
That's your little sister.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's Brown Williams.
Brown Williams. You know, I ain't want to throw the Williams in there, but I love my brother-in-law.
Yeah, but yeah, it's Brown Williams.
Jamie Brown Williams.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay, we're gonna bring her on. Now see that. Oh yeah, she's in education. Oh
she's
wow,
a principal, huh?
Principal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to talk to her.
Years.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, you did.
I did my homework.
Yes, you did. You did your homework.
Let's see if we can get a hold to her. She disappeared on me.
I know she ain't get scared.
No, let's see here. Here we go. Ms. Williams.
Yes, sir. How are you?
There she go. There she go.
Why does that look like that? I'm gonna have to change that.
Well, we made you big and us small, so everybody can see who we were. Okay, can you give us your resume? Just tell us about you just briefly.
Okay, well, like someone mentioned over here, I have been in public education. This is year 16 for me. And this is year 5 in school administration. So I've mostly served at Title I, which are low income, lower socioeconomic status campuses for most of my 16 years. I have 2 kids, and I have been married for almost 13 years, but with my husband since 2002, so almost 20 years.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's good.
You look like you read off the paper I have.
Oh.
Well, we thank you for joining us.
No problem.
We thank you for joining us. So let me, and I don't know, I don't want to push too much, but your take on what our children are being taught in school and I mean about their history. And when I say our children,
right,
you know what I'm saying, our children.
So this is my take, and I feel like people are starting to make strides towards teaching accurate history. But what the kids are taught is controlled by the Texas Education Agency and those who write the textbooks. And so a lot of our history gets, I guess the picture is painted differently than what actually happened. And I'll give you an example. A lot of what I was taught, because I went to a predominantly white school in high school, my husband went to a predominantly Black school. We were taught 2 different things because his teachers made sure that they knew the right information, whereas my teachers taught exactly what was on their scope and sequence. So then when I found out, the real truth, it took me a minute to digest what I had learned, because that's not what I had been taught. And it had been indoctrinated in my head, for years and years. But I don't think that our students are being taught accurate information. I feel like the government picks and chooses what pieces of information they want us to know.
Now, Miss Williams.
Yes, sir.
I used to teach history, and I used to get off script all the time. And my thing is, as an administrator, when a teacher is not following the scope and sequence, not following the curriculum all the way, do you have a problem with that? As far as when I get off script, I'm going to speak the truth.
Okay. Typically, I don't, as long as that teacher covers what's expected to be covered.
Okay.
Kind of go off and give some bonus information. I'm personally good with it, as long as, lines aren't crossed and the kids are still being held accountable for whatever assessment is going to be given to them. But I don't have an issue with it.
Got it.
Ms. Williams, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure they have like Black Teachers Associations and principals or whatever the case may be. Do these organizations or clubs, do they go to the state and say, hey, we think this should be taught in the schools along with what y'all set forth on the agenda and stuff like that? And if it does happen, do some of the things that the teachers or the principals wish for, do it ever get passed?
Sometimes it does, but it takes a lot of people lobbying for stuff like that. And it takes years and years and years. So, for example, this year in Grand Prairie, where I work, for the first time ever, they are offering an African-American history class. Whoa. That hasn't been done ever. I wish I could have been in high school to take that class. At the other high school where, in the city, they're offering a Mexican-American history class. So it does happen, and those groups do lobby. Teachers go down there, administrators go down there, different teacher representation groups head down there. But everything is political, and sometimes they've written the textbook already, and that costs so much to write that textbook that they don't want to go back and change anything until the new textbook's adoption happens. So it does work sometimes, but it takes a lot of people and a big force to get some things changed in Austin.
Okay, let me ask you this now, and I'm right now speaking from my vantage point, what I do. I'm an avid reader, so I read a lot. And my daughter asked me the other day, was I going to read all those books? And I said, yeah. She said, well, what you going to do when you're done with them? I said, well, I'm going to save them for you, so when you get older, you can read them. Yeah. Now, how much, since what's being taught in the schools, how much should parents put their 2 cents in on the child's education? Meaning, okay, this is what you're being taught, but that's not necessarily true. This is what really happens.
Mm-hmm. I really don't know how, a percentage or a percentage number or how many. I do know that they're out there. We are those parents at our house, especially with my 11-year-old who is heading into middle school, where all of that information is about to be really delved into. But I do know there are parents, and they sometimes they do pull me aside and just say, hey, we went a little bit further with this at our house, and this is what we talked about. So if my daughter comes to school saying, this, that, and the other, just know that we came from a place of we have to keep educating our kids in addition to what they're being taught at school, because y'all know we don't get the full story at school.
Yeah. Well, and so I guess to go a little deeper in what I'm saying, kind of what I'm saying is, would you recommend, okay, when you teach your child this, well, you have to, I guess, you have to let them know that what you're teaching them is to love themselves, love their history, right? And that is not hate, because a lot of people, they come off and say, oh, well, that's hate. You're being racist because you love yourself, you hate me. Right. And that's not always the case. Right. So what would you say to that particular student or parent or group or?
I don't have an issue, and I don't have an issue with parents teaching their kids things outside of what's in in the textbook. I encourage parents to help their children be more confident and love who they are. The only concern I would ever have is if, a child is being taught something at home that they didn't receive from the history book and they're coming back to school and then it becomes an argument and an intense debate. I think that's where I would have the issue, because there are ways to kind of talk about what you learned with the adult. If that educator is worth their salt, they'll be okay with you questioning as long as it's been done, in a respectful manner. But I don't have an issue with it. And I think, as an educator, we always talk about educating the whole child, not just the academic piece of the child, but that comes with it. It's helping those students, whatever their age is, to love and accept who they are.
Just to piggyback what y'all talking about, Ms. Williams, you and the King. When I put myself in the mind of a student, and my parents are telling me, I'm just use Christopher Columbus because obviously there's some truth that's been coming out about Chris. He was a rapist. He was a murderer. If we celebrate him like he's just the best thing since sliced bread, but there's some truth coming out. As a child, when I'm hearing the truth from my parents, I'm going to believe it with all my heart. But at the same time, for that test, he's going to have to know the information that the state of Texas has put in the curriculum in order to pass that test. As a child, I wonder if it'd be difficult for them to separate that, And I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes, because there's a lot of truth that's coming out now, especially with the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot contradicting what the history books are saying.
Right.
And so I really don't have a question. It's pretty much like something I thought about when you and Cleve was discussing that. I'm like, what about the kid, man? Because that can be, to a certain degree, kind of confusing when they're going to believe what their parents tell them.
Right.
But if such and such says, no, he was this and that. I don't think so. But when that test comes, he's going to be battling. He really wouldn't like that. I wonder if this was true.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So
it's hard.
Ms. Williams, I have a question for you. With you being an educator, once a teacher, now you're a principal, and I'm so proud of you. I love you to death.
Thank you.
Okay, the United States Department of Education ProPublica built a database.
Mm-hmm.
And in that database, okay, before I say that, do you feel that Caucasian kids are more likely to be placed in advanced placement classes over African American kids?
I do.
So, and I'm not questioning you on why, but why do they push that more for the Caucasian kids rather than the African American kids?
I can't say that they push it more. I can say that the criteria to get into GT and I say GT because that's what it is in elementary school, but the criteria to get in, it's like a norm reference test. And from what I've seen, because my daughter took that test, she was dead set on getting in. And though the things that are on that test aren't things that typically we do with our kids at a young age, it's, puzzles and analytical thinking and things like that. We don't, and I say we, collectively, we don't do those kind of things with our kids. There's some other stuff on that test. I haven't had a chance to look at all of them, but I just don't feel like they, I can't think of the word. I don't feel like they're fair. I'll say that.
Culturally biased.
And see, the reason why I asked that, because when I looked at the database and looked at some of the statistics, it was saying that Caucasian kids are 1.8 times likely to be in advanced placement classes compared to Black students.
That's not an accident, man. That's plain. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go on and say it. Let me tell you something, man. Both of my kids, man, they've never made a B. My young ones, my 9-year-old, my 13-year-old, never made a B. But if that test she's talking about, whatever, they could not get into the GT classes.
Right.
Hey, those is hand picked. I'm gonna say it. I know she probably can't say it because she in the man. They hand picked, man. It's all bad, man. I know my kid's smart, man. Never made a B. Really? But anyway, yeah.
No, I
have to go off on a rant.
Yeah, because you got a little upset. I don't want you to put my sister on the spot like
No.
Okay.
That wasn't a question. I just want.
Because I'm going to ask the king to go to break.
No, we ain't have to move some furniture around here, huh?
No, he says what I can't say.
Right. I got you, Ms. Williams.
No problem. But that is very accurate. And I've had a couple of parents point that out when their child did not get in that they felt like there was some disparities in those assessments. As a child, I was always in advanced classes, but I was like one little Black girl in a class of 20 white girls and white boys. And it's been like that. My daughter, I hope that's not the case for her, but she's in some advanced classes, and I hope she's not,
You were lucky enough to fill the quota.
right.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah, that's the reality.
Yeah.
Okay. That took you somewhere, didn't it?
Hey, boy, it touched the nerve, gave me the red ass. I ain't had the red ass in a minute, man.
Well, Ms. Williams, we appreciate you.
No problem.
We are on some time restraints. We got to go to break. We have another guest coming back. We got to make sure we give him enough time to speak. But we do appreciate it. We appreciate on what you educated us on.
No problem. I'm glad to help.
And again, thank you
so much.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Love you, baby.
Love you too. And let the record show it's Janie Brown Williams.
Oh, so you want me to say the Brown Williams?
Okay.
Because Bubba tends to forget, so I just had to put it out.
They didn't know that my nickname was Bubba. You didn't have to
now
tell them that.
since you called me out with my last name. They know now.
Bubba.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Since when, huh?
Bubba.
She didn't know how to, as a little girl, she didn't know how to say brother, so she would always say Bubba.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of that, though, Mr. O'Neill had a message for you when he used to go deliver mail.
I used to call him the mailbox man.
That's
Okay,
right.
with
That's
that
right.
being said, we
the mailbox is here. He told me yesterday
go-
to make sure you tell Otis Brown that.
we gonna go to break, and when we come back, we have
The mailbox is here.
All right, we back live up a room. We are discussing our miseducation. And I think we all agreed that can fall anywhere from school education, education at home, education about religion, even birds and bees. But we really won't get into that.
Yeah, I was on YouTube, King.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you read? I don't read, but I go on YouTube.
You go on YouTube.
Same difference.
I'm the same way.
Same
like,
difference.
you know, Uncle Rustam had to send me a lot of books on audio because I.
But I got the information. That's the important thing. But I was listening to this guy, this Asian dude named Robert. I'm gonna just say Kawasaki. Don't matter. The last name he's Asian. You get the point. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Stay with me. So this guy, he's a billionaire, and he was just speaking a bunch of truth. He got a lot of videos on YouTube, man, and he's just out there trying to tell the truth. And he was saying that education is fake because the teachers are fake. And what he meant by that, he said, man, you got teachers teaching kids things that they don't do themselves. You know, for example, we talked about an accounting class. He said, so, you know, he asked his teacher, are you an accountant? She was like, well, no. He was like, well, how are you going to teach me? And his point was this. He said, he learned more from his own accountant, his own tax man, his own lawyer. He learned more about business and how business operates and how to make money than anything he learned in high school and college.
But what if you have kids that don't have that outlet to have an accountant, an attorney, and a lawyer?
Right. But I guess the point he was making was just that
we get a bad education in the school.
It's teaching us to be employees instead of being employers. You know, it's conditioning us, it's dumbing us down, it's keeping us at a certain level. They have placed a ceiling on top of us to where we cannot bust through that. And they're training us to, you go to college and you get a job. And so it's putting limiting beliefs on us, small-mindedness, to whereas we only think we can go so far. Basically, we get us a good 8 to 5, you know, we got a 4-bedroom house, blah, 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 we made it. When there's so much more that we can offer. And what that's done over time, especially with blacks, it really limits us because look at us. We only feel like we can be either an entertainer or an athlete.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So again, man, the man was speaking some real truth, man. I mean, he has a whole bunch of videos. But anyway, King, I just want to throw that in there. It was really interesting. And I probably in our other show, man, I better give more information, man, because he was delving into some stuff, talking about the taxes, on how people think that the rich just getting over, but they just know how to hide their money with the laws that's in place. That's information. Right, that's information that we don't know. We don't know how to do it. Furthermore, we're not even in a situation to even be that. But once we get in that situation, I wonder if many of our celebrities and our professional athletes really know what to do with their money.
But why aren't we in this situation?
Well, how come we not in that situation?
Miseducation, misinformation.
It just goes back to the topic and how we've been raised. You know, misinformation, miseducation, just, you know, passed down stuff that's just ain't.
Have you ever read this book called As a Man Thinketh?
Oh, man, didn't you mention that? You mentioned that before, man. I want to read that, man.
Yeah, read that when I'm totally finished with it. I like to read through them twice in case I miss something.
Yeah, you're a reader, dude. Educated, brother.
Yeah, I ain't got much else to do. But anyway, as much I don't like to do that shit. I don't like to go nowhere. I want to do is stay home. But anyway, we have another guest coming on. No. Who is this guest? Who is it?
Well, this is my uncle, man.
This is a family reunion.
Yeah, it's family. Well, he's kind of like all of our uncles. You know, he didn't see all of us grow up.
Now, hold on. Now, is that the original Zeke?
He is.
Oh, so you're the fake one.
No. It ain't that I'm fake. It's just that when he got older, somebody had to carry on the name.
Oh, that's right.
When you have kids, you want them to carry on the name. So I had to carry on the nickname.
So it was kind of like when Jordan passed to Kobe, when Kobe dropped that 55 on
something like that. You know, I went for like 60.
Oh, you went for 60 on him. Okay. Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's see if we can get him in here. Let's see if he gonna collaborate with that story right here. Let's see if we can get him in here. Hold on, let's get you right. All right, there you go. Uncle Zeke, did he drop 60?
That's some new stuff to me, man. I told Coach Will to put him on the bench, so I don't know about 60.
No, he said he took you out the Alamo and dropped 60 on you.
Oh, well, I definitely don't know nothing. Yeah.
All right. Hey, again, man, we're talking about our miseducation, and before we jump into that, man, I'm kind of looking at your bio here, man, and it's pretty long. I'm sure that it's longer than that, but briefly, just tell us who you are.
Well, I'm gonna touch on something here, is the ability to learn and seeking knowledge to learn and educate yourself. When the internet didn't even exist. Growing up in the 70s, there were some outlets that you could go find books. Shrine of Black Madonna always been there. So I used to go to Shrine of Black Madonna and order books, black books written by black people. The first Bible I had was the African Demon Heritage Bible out of Shrine of Black Madonna. So I had means because I was guided in that direction. I had sources of educated men and people who saw interest in me that I can go apply that type of knowledge and move forward. Certain things were not taught. You couldn't go to Rosenberg Library and seek that type of information because it didn't exist in Rosenberg Library. But there was some outlets, and if you wasn't pointing there, you didn't know they existed. So the internet didn't exist, but I was able to educate myself going way back to ancient times, even in the 70s and 80s. So I was teaching way back in the 70s and 80s about some history when the brothers or other athletes around me wasn't speaking that same language. So I didn't add that to my bio because I just added to my bio just some of the things I did for school or church or whatever. But when we want to talk about education and miseducation, well, it's not being taught, but is it being sought?
But Uncle Steve, I got a question. You said something interesting about, you had a passion to read. That's not common. That's not normal. Was that just in you, or like you? Maybe you've mentioned it, but was you raised that way, or how did you have that thirst to want to gain that knowledge and seek that for yourself?
What affected me, I was born in the 60s. So you're hearing about Medgar Evers being killed, Malcolm X being killed, Martin Luther King being killed, Black Panther movement. So we're talking about all of that in the 60s and early 70s, and then you got Roots on top of that. So there was a lot of angry black people in the bricks at that time. So my thing is, as a young kid, I'm growing up angry. Why should I be angry? So seeking to understand why am I so angry? Why at these people? Why all of these things are happening? So that's the drive. See, I came on when they did the busing. See, I grew up in Cedar Terrace, but I was going to go there at a block and a half away. When they started desegregating, they sent me a mile away on the bus to Rosenberg. Took me out of Rosenberg and sent me to Burnett. Took me out of Burnett, went to Lovenburg. Lovenburg down, then went to Austin in the Central and Ball High. So I was part of that busing system. So all these changes are happening, desegregating, but it wasn't working. I wanted to know the why. Yeah. So I always had an interest in knowing why all of these changes, why it's not being consistent. Why am I so angry? Why are the people around me so mad?
Right.
So I sought that information.
It's interesting that you say the why, and it took a coach 3 years ago in coaching, because I was one of those coaches, like if the kid would ask the why, instead of explaining the why, you getting upset by them questioning you about the why. And I think that's what's some of the things that's lost in the education system too, because some of these kids don't know about the why. So when they ask the why, they get in trouble for asking about the why.
Okay, it's two types when you talk about miseducation, right? It's the education that's not taught, and it's the education that's not sought. So let's go to homeschooling. So we have to understand what our competencies and our skill levels are. Some things are not being taught because of the systems that we're in that were put in place, not to benefit us, but to benefit another person. So we got an uphill battle trying to educate ourselves in a system that was not made for us.
Okay.
One piece of it.
Okay, let me ask you this. Now, I heard you mentioned church earlier, and I see here that you are a deacon and.
That was the past. I was involved. So.
Okay. Well, you had that. Okay. Well, now, just to touch on religion, just for a little bit, the King James.
Yeah.
That version of the Bible, the King James, who ordered that version translated from the Dead Sea Scrolls, was actually from the tribe of Judah. Now, you heard that, and he was a black Hebrew Israelite.
Okay.
Now, something that in my 47 years I didn't know until recently. And shortly before that, I realized how they were all of a sudden attacking King James. Oh, he was a pedophile. He was this. He was that. He was this. But so as the truth started to come out, now let's attack what really is the truth. You know, it's kind of like with the Egyptians. You know, when you look at these movies, what they're depicted as being Caucasian. But we know that Egypt. I even had somebody tell me that Egypt wasn't part of Africa, but that's another story. But now,
it is.
Yeah, but now, since we've established that they are African, well, they didn't build the pyramids and the Sphinx. It was aliens that did. I mean, so when you hear something like that, I mean, how does that make you feel?
Well, let me go a little deeper than where you were at, because you went into a version.
Okay.
All right. So one thing man always do is teach you his version. So you went to King James Version. What's the version before that? So that's what we get at. I said my first Bible was, but see, I've studied the ancients before King James. So what we get to is, what is it that we're supposed to know? When you look at the word has no version, but man and his culture will teach you his version. So you got versions before King James. You're just talking about King James.
Yes, but what I'm saying, we have been taught that he was a Caucasian man.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Right. All right. Well, one thing we do know, right? Here's what we do know. You know, they do the testing, and we know that the oldest fossils are in Africa.
Correct.
All right. Okay, the oldest fossils. We know that. We can look at the earth, even when they say, okay, this is the landmass before it split. It was one whole landmass. We know there's no such thing as Middle East. That's just Africa that broke apart. So when you go ancient history, you have to go to the Middle East. We know that's what ancient history is. Okay, we know that the Europe is recent history. If you want to talk about history, Africa has the oldest history, and then you can go to China. But if you go to China, you're going to find you some African history. But the thing about what we get is that what I'm talking about is version. You have to be careful about man's version, because man keeps interpreting versions.
Right.
So that's what confuses us in how we get miseducated is man keeps interpreting. He keeps changing to fit his culture. He keeps changing to fit his traditions. He keeps changing to fit his ceremony, his rituals.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, take the version out and just focus on what the word says. What does the word really say? Not what man's version is. So when you look at King James, right, they got history on him too. But you got international standard now. You got American standard now. You have all these different versions. So man has, with his vocabulary, is changing the text. So if you go study ancient Egypt, so can I just share with y'all something right now, because you brought up Egypt.
Go ahead.
All right. So you have a book in the Bible talking Roman. There's a lot of Roman history in the Bible, correct? A lot of Roman history in the Bible. But when you talk Egypt, when did the Romans take the Egyptians into slavery and rule over Egypt for 300 years? See, that's one piece of it. The other piece of it, Egypt had a name for a black god.
Whoa.
That name for a black god is called Inger. The letters NGR. You can look it up on your smartphone. Inger, meaning black god. When the Romans took them into captivity, they mocked their god. If you look up that word and look up injure, you'll see that's the origin of the N word.
Can you spell that again?
NGR, Roman black god. Look it up. It's going to tell you that's the origin of the N word. Remember, Rome ruled over Egypt for 300 years. Rome ruled over Europe for 1,000 years. All right? But then when we talk about miseducation, is where did the slaves come from? They didn't come from Egypt, which is in the northeast corner of Africa. The slaves came from the what? The west side, the southwest side of Africa. That's where the slaves come from. So the slaves came to America before the N word. So when did the N word arrive? So is the N word out? Is they talking about our God? Is our God black? Or is that our word? So you can search these things, and I put lessons together on these things. See, in King James Version, you can read Romans and find out Romans when they took the Egyptians into slavery, because that's in the text too. But we're not being taught that in church.
And and it's crazy because I just put that in, and it hyphens the N, which a lot of our use, but it does say the word NGR means God. But when you put in NGR, it brings up NGR, the stadium in Houston.
I know. So you put in black God. I said black God, Egyptian black God.
I did put that in there. I put NGR black God, and it brought up
NRG.
So I'm just giving y'all a little bit of history, because in King James Version, there's some history in those texts about when different cultures took people into slavery. So I just wanted to touch on that because you started talking about King James.
Yeah.
But when you read the book, there's history in the book about black history that we do not apply and we are not being taught. So that's something I thought out, and I put those things together.
Okay, well let me ask you this. With that being said, and some of the other things that you spoke on, let me tell you, after self-education, because I think that's going to be first and foremost. What falls in line next? I mean, do you feel that it should be school system?
Two pieces there. With first piece is we still have to change the school system, because the school system is not built for our success. So that's some things that we're always going to have to do. The second part is we have to identify what we must learn.
But I have a question. My sister was on earlier, and I had posed a question to her about, I know it's like Black Teachers Association. She said, they go to Austin, but it takes almost like an act of Congress to get things changed. So we're saying change the school system. How can we go about doing that? When we try to go about doing it, how long it's going to take? Are we going to be alive and well to be around to see it? And do you honestly think it would ever happen?
Yes, but the thing is, the journey is not complete yet, right? So I was listening to you earlier saying they're teaching some things in the past that we shouldn't, may not be useful today. Okay, when you're talking about when we gain our independence, so I don't celebrate Juneteenth. I celebrate liberation. See, that's our liberating day when we gain our independence. If you don't know the journey, you don't know the things that we have overcome, you don't know where we're at in the journey. So, yes, things will change, but we still in the journey. We have to keep identifying those things we need to improve on. The other part is, as men and as parents, we keep got to educating ourselves so we have our kids prepared for when they walk out of our house. Yeah, the system might not be conducive for them to learn completely in their success, but it's on us to keep learning ourselves so we can apply those things to them and help nurture them in the right way instead of sending them totally to a system that's incomplete.
But the legend has spoke on, like you said, we need to keep educating and apply ourselves to teach our kids. But with these new millennials, they're not teaching they kids about this is what you need to learn in the education system. Majority of them, they want to go out and party in club or be sure they have a nice Michael Kors or whatever the case may be instead of all that energy within the kids.
Well, we have a generation gap, right? We say in the 90s and the early 2000s, there was a generation gap when we started having young kids having kids. There was a generation gap. Then we didn't have elders at the gate anymore teaching. We didn't have midwives or housewives. We didn't have that anymore, or mentorship. We started freelance and started going our own way because some of us got some successes.
Yeah.
Right. So we was able to go build houses and move to an established neighborhood. Yeah, but there's nobody in the neighborhood like us. So we don't go back and associate ourselves with us, then we get lost.
Yep.
Right. So here's the thing I'll get at. Wes, when you look at my thing, I joined a lot of things for knowledge base to understand how those things were working to get educated, not just to belong. So I don't belong to those things anymore. I was in a Masonic lodge too, but I studied ancient masonry as well. I wonder why the Masons was free. So I went to ancient Masons. I went into the biblical sense because if the word is the same, why we got all these different versions? Why we got all these different denominations when they all come from the same seed?
Oh, speak on.
Yeah, so that's my point is I don't belong to anything. I'm a free man.
There you go.
I don't belong to anything. So we have to keep educating ourselves. Yes, the battle is not done. It's not complete, but we got to keep identifying what does it take for us to be successful in this culture called America. See, we need to know something about our roots before slavery. There's history of us in America before slavery. We don't go to Louisiana or California or Mexico and say that was here before slavery. We started at post-slavery. We don't do nothing but pre-slavery.
But see, the thing is, though, like you getting the miseducation and the misinformation. I think nowadays, kids as well as adults, they don't know like where to get the right information from. Because if I sit up here and listen to you, I can be saying to myself, which I don't, you my uncle, I love you to death, that how I know if you telling the truth. Or the kid could be telling me something. How do I know he's telling the truth?
That's why you research it yourself. You don't never just
take
the word.
You have to research it yourself because everybody has a version. That's why I'm getting at. Everybody's writing a book. Everybody has a version. How you know what's right? Because the whole thing about end of Juneteenth and our independence was to destroy our minds. So if you tell me they taught me in their education system, you tell me that they gave me their name, you tell me they gave me their religion, so what are my behaviors are today? And that's way 155 years ago. Do we have those same behaviors in place today? So how are you researching these things? How do you know what things are true and what things are false?
Okay, but
you have to keep researching.
But and then on that, and I agree with everything you're saying. But what if you have that kid or you have that adult that don't know how to research these things, but they put their faith and they believe in what you're saying, but you could be telling me the wrong thing, and then I go to the legend or I go to the king, and they telling me the right thing, but I'm believing what Uncle Steve said.
Y'all talked about resources. You got to know your resource. See, one thing it is, man try to fill space with words. Man has to have deeds and actions. See, what are your actions? What are your results? What is your plan? Do you have a plan? Do you have a curriculum? Or are you just talking? Right.
To me, it just comes down to like Otis was talking about. Who do I believe?
Yeah, who do you believe?
It's going to come down to your spirit, because when you research and you do all this, it's probably going to contradict even what the King James version is saying. It's going to contradict what Uncle Steve is saying. It's going to so then you get all these contradictions. Then what is the spirit? Because hey, God may be telling you something different than He's telling me.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's when it gets to that point, I'm going to follow, and that's the belief I have within myself.
That's right.
God that's inside of me. But
anyway. Come something he thinking.
That's what I'm getting at. Here's the simple thing about it, guys. There's only two things required in America: follow the laws and pay your taxes. Everything else is on us.
Yeah.
Right. So when we say who we're gonna believe, well, each one of us have our own spirit and our own mind. Right. So you decide what you want to belong to and what you want to belong in. Are you following just to be a part of something, or your self-consciousness is driving you to something?
Right.
Are your mind at peace? But when we get to our kids, are we feeding our kids those things that help their mind be successful? Not have them be rich. It's enriching their mind. That's the main thing. It's not about the biggest house, because we know People commit suicides all day with a lot of money.
Right.
Yep.
It ain't money won't make you happy if your mind is not right.
That's right.
So it's your mind.
Well, I've always believed, even in my younger days and growing up in church and whatnot, that and you and I have had some of these discussions, that religion was very uniformed, meaning that it's written a certain way, you carry yourself a certain way, you follow these rules, blah, 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 you go to heaven.
Right.
Well, I've always believed that my path may not have been the same as yours, and his may not be. We could take different paths to get to the same destination.
Right.
And it's just like from here. If we want to go right now and go back to Galveston, you can take 45, but you can hit 59, and I can go around the Beltway, and eventually we can all end. I mean, so I just don't think that
you opening up that door, boy.
it is. I'm gonna leave.
Wait. See, like I said earlier, there's a difference between the word and culture. See, where you were going at, you were talking about culture. You're talking about culture, ceremonies, rituals, and routines. And each culture has its own.
But exactly. But how much growing up of that was part of it? Remember,
that's right.
Remember the white sheet they would hold up with.
Yeah.
And come to find out, that was just to keep bugs off of it from back in the day.
They didn't have no air conditioning. They had no air conditioning, right?
Exactly. There you go.
They woke up. But what I'm saying is, look, here's the difference. That's what I'm saying is, only place that I ever heard God speak God's name, and even in the King James Version, was in Genesis when he said, "My name is I." Every name after that is just a culture. Each culture has a name for God. But God only spoke.
I've been saying that. Listen, I've been saying that. I've been going through this for probably the last couple of months.
Pissed off.
And exactly. and that's what I'm saying. Listen, God is God. And
God is God.
Yeah, and people have different names for him.
That's culture.
And that's what I'm man. Oh man.
That's culture.
But see, that's the miseducation and the misinformation.
That's what I'm getting at. All right, here's the thing is, right? All we got to do is, it's only three things in life. Life is not our choice. Life is life what it is. We either have love or no love. That's it. Everything else is on us. How you speak it, what you do with it, that's just cultural. Because you go to each country, they have a different way of talking about the word. But the word is still the word. The word is just the word. But when you get to, okay, I'll give you this one. When, even in the Bible, when they say Jesus rent the temple veil from top to bottom, and anyone can approach the throne room of God boldly for themselves, why is the church still set up like the Judaism and Israelites back in the day, where you have a preacher standing up there at the pulpit and the biggest benefactors or the biggest donors up front, and the people better get anything in the back?
Man, speaking.
But Jesus, he didn't. You see some things in there you don't see. See, look, that's why I say I'm free, because I don't belong to them things no more. See, I done been somewhere and spoke, and them voices got mad at me because you can't tell me make up something. I follow you just because that's your culture. I want to know what the word says.
They can't control you.
The word never said nothing about preacher. I never seen that. The word never said nothing about a church. I never seen that. I never seen this set up. That's what man culture is. The word is still just the word, living right and giving and helping one another, love one another. That's simple about the word. You go through the whole Bible, all you're going to find out is love one another and love yourself.
That's it.
And you know,
culture, go ahead.
It's funny that you say that, because I remember years ago, you told me, because I was asking you, and I'm not necessarily I was questioning the Bible, but I remember you told me, like, you have every right to ask any pastor something about the Bible that you don't understand.
Right.
And if they take offense to that, they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, because you have the right to ask. And I also,
let me throw this at y'all. Judaism, Muslim, Christianity come from the same seed, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. So why y'all involved in a family fight?
Say that again. Why we involved in what?
a family fight. If all of them come from the same seed, they family members.
Right.
Why y'all involved in a family fight?
Yeah. When you shouldn't be, because we family.
Cain killed Abel. That's his brother, right?
Right.
Ishmael and Isaac are brothers. Ishmael line go through Muslims. Isaac line go through Judaism and Christianity. Isn't Esau and Jacob are brothers?
Yep.
Esau line go through Muslims. Jacob line through Christianity, Judaism. Yeah. Ain't they brothers?
Yeah.
Why do the brothers keep killing each other?
And we having that right now today.
And all the word said is, life is life, either you have love or no love.
Wow.
See, that's why I don't.
Come on for that,
Bro, I'm over here. I'm listening. Man, all right. Uncle Steve is teaching right now. I know to stay in my lane. I'm learning.
Well, I'm just saying, because see, what Wes was getting at is culture. What get us at, we live in America, and America has a culture. You go to Europe, Europe has a culture. The Middle East has a culture. Africa has a culture. Man's whole problem is power and his culture. So that's man's problem. That's why he keep killing each other. He ain't killing each other because he dislike him. He killing each other because he wants the power.
Right.
So man has a problem getting along with his brother.
Wow.
That's the whole thing with war.
Man.
Why can't they just get along? We all use our resources and live in harmony. That's the whole problem.
We've always used religion to control the masses, man.
Your mind.
Preach the fear of
Your mind.
hell. Oh, man, let me stop, man.
So, hey, look, I know it. We got CME, AME, Baptist, Presbyterian, Ecclesiastes. We got Catholic, and it's all in one book and one version. So where all that come from?
Yeah.
Man's version, but it's only one word.
Hmm.
So it's just like this. What are you teaching your kids? A version, or you just showing them love? You
But
teach them a version. Stuff get handed down.
But I think what happens with that, and I remember one time we had a conversation and you told me some people just go off of what they learned in the past. Like,
yeah,
you heard one pastor preaching the Old Testament one way and you become a preacher, you're going to try to preach like him. You ain't trying to evolve and move from what they've done. Right. And I mean, this from what my uncle was telling me, because I was always that guy to ask like, okay, but I don't understand why this. And he used to always tell me, you have the right to ask that question. But we all know some pastors, they get offended by that.
Yeah, that's in our culture, though, man. They don't like for us to question.
But that's misinformation.
Right. But I remember coming up,
miseducation.
even in my family, you don't question.
It's the miseducation. It's the miseducation. Jesus taught. Jesus didn't preach. Where does preaching come from?
Whoa. I think
when did he preach?
Our own people finna be mad at us, but I'm telling you, man, we gonna talk about it.
I don't mind. That's why I say I'm free. I don't belong in anything. I can go anywhere and have a good time, because I decided when I stepped out, I went in to find out knowledge and understanding. I went to find out why do we do things the way that we do them, right? So I do the 5 W's. The who,
what?
The when, the where, the what, the why, and how. That's why I want to find out, because I realize that brothers are killing brothers. So we realize that we're up in a system of oppression. We realize the system is not complete, but we can't ignore that it was the brothers who gave us away. So when we look at Africa, I have brothers that go to Africa, go to the monuments and go to the pyramids and seek that understanding. I say, yeah, but why are the brothers still killing brothers in Africa? They kill each other over there too.
But you know what, Uncle Steve? Once we, as a culture, as a people, once we get free, break away from bondage, then we'll be able to tap into that power that's already in us, man. It ain't something we got to go gain. It's already in us. And I just know when I became free, I became so powerful, man. And it's just like, I just want to share with everybody. But man, when you in that situation where religion has got you in bondage, man, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you living in fear. And when you have that freedom, you don't have that fear no more, man.
So you think
That's why I left.
Live in the fear because they worrying about what others may say or how they may perceive them.
That, but also too, when you got a preacher up there that's pretty much a hell-based sermon, where you don't do this, then you go in there.
Hell,
you living your life in fear instead of living it in love.
If, right, that's what we go back to. If they taught us their religion, remember, we were stripped of our culture. We were stripped of our names. We were stripped of our understanding. So that's why I say even today, what behaviors do we have? We keep saying we want to change a system, but do we have the behaviors they gave us? Because if you're looking at the religion, we were taught the religion by them.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were taught the language by them. We were given names by them. We might not know what tribes we come from or what culture we come from, but let's research the culture that we're in today and realize, okay, well, I understand as a culture American, we got to follow laws. Well, how can I be successful within this culture? So that's what we struggle with right there. Mm-hmm. We know that we in a oppressed society that's not built for us. So we try to educate ourselves and try to navigate these troubled waters to be successful. But we have to understand, like you said, it's the spirit in each and every one of us. When you are totally free, I feel that by power as well. When I stepped out of those locations, the church and the Masonic lodges, when I got to researching them and went back to the ancients and started asking those questions, right? Because no one wants to answer. Look, man, I've had ministers come to me and say, you need a license to speak that way. I thought the word was free.
Wow. Hey, but you know what, what I commend you on, man, and I always looked up to my uncles, especially like our sports figures. And if y'all all notice, I never wore somebody else's jersey because who they were. I always wore my uncle's jerseys because that's who I looked up to. But my uncle, man, I'm going to say 2 months ago, he sent all the grandkids, all the grandkids, his nieces and nephews and stuff, our family tree. And in his email, what he said is, I want you to know where you came from, how it started.
Bloodline.
And I never knew that. Because, you know, when you growing up, you only know your immediate family. Like, I know my uncle, but he was like, hey, it was people before me. Right. This is how your grandmother became your grandmother. Right. This is how your mama became your mama.
I went back to the 1800s, right? Because a lot of times we don't know that we can go that far back. So I share stuff with people all day long about life. Is a lot of times we want to be like the eagle or the birds and fly over. But instead of being like the worm and see the roots. Mm. See, the worm is in the soil. See, the worm gets to see the roots expand. So we watch the seasons a lot, and we watching branches and leaves fall off the trees, but we never look at the trunk and see if the trunk is expanding. See, if the tree is alive, the trunk keeps expanding, and the roots keep growing, even though you see the trees, and the leaves and the branches falling. Fruit changes, but if the root's still healthy, then the tree will bear a new fruit. So a lot of times we get up, we're supposed to celebrate someone passing on, but do we ever think about the legacy before them, after them, that it keeps going? So we have to keep applying to our tree. And I talked about this, I was just sharing that recently, right, with a friend of mine about the 4 trees in Galveston. A lot of folks are looking for bricks and forgot about the trees. See, they were looking for palm terrace, cedar terrace, Orlando home or magnolia home. But they forgot that those are trees.
Wow.
Magnolia tree, the palm tree, the cedar tree, and the Orlando tree. The bricks are gone, but the tree's still there. We still here, so I feel like we still trees planted by the river of water. Stop looking for the bricks and look at the tree.
That'll hold you. That'll hold you right there.
Already.
Man,
Wow.
see, we appreciate it. We actually then
overshot.
we actually overshot.
I'm good.
We got a couple of minutes to close this thing. You know what I mean? We got 6 minutes.
All right.
But man, we definitely appreciate it, man. We love to have you back on at a later date, man, if you would agree to it. So we'll reach out to you when that arrives, man. Maybe one time we can have you in-house when we move around. We film at different locations, so Yeah, man, we love to have you come in and sit down and talk. But again, man, thank you for taking your time away from your family, your immediate family there at the house, your wife, your children, and spending some time with us.
Hey, man, it was very, very educational, very insightful, man. I can relate. Hey, man, I was sitting here just being, I know I want to chime in, but I didn't want to interrupt you, though, Uncle Steve. You was in the zone, man. But we definitely got to have him back, though, man. Thank you.
Love y'all.
Thank you. I love y'all, man. Thank y'all. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Talk to y'all later.
Man, we came in at 9, man. That's a lot to talk about.
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead. Start it off.
We got to wrap this up, though, man.
All right, bro. Golly. Man.
Well, go ahead.
So, I mean, what we going to do, final thoughts?
Yeah, go ahead. Right, we got to get ready to wrap this
up. Let's go and wrap it up. But anyway, I mean, everything he said, I line up with it, man. I mean, just the freedom. He kept saying that word, and it just registered with me, man. The power that it gives you to have that freedom to break away from old mindsets and the ways that we've been taught, the brainwashing. And man, these people, man, and even our own people, man, mm-hmm. they used religion to control. That's all it is. It's just control. But my thing is, man, believe in yourself. Trust your instincts, that gut feeling. That gut feeling, that's your spirit. You have to believe that the Spirit of God is inside of us. We don't have to go to a specific place. He's not in a certain sector in the sky. He's within us. He's everywhere. He's with the animals. He's on that. I mean, he's everywhere. So I believe that once we break away from having this feeling that it has to be a specific religion, a certain church, we will gain that freedom. Question everything. Question everything, man. And again, I think both of y'all brought that up about, not being able to question. And I remember that's not even just an education, man. That's pretty much, I want to say that's culture.
Yeah, that's
within households too.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Keep your mouth shut.
Exactly.
I'm doing, and that's just one of the things that I'm doing differently. That my parents, my grandparents, my family was like that, but no, question that. And if it's not disrespectful, try to answer why. And if I don't know the answer, I tell them, hey, man, go Google it, whatever. But I don't, because when you're able to question why, that opens up all parts of your brain, man. You become more creative, innovative. And that's where I think we've been limited as Black people, man. But look here, man. We see through a glass dimly. We don't know all the answers, man. Read, research, man. The king has said, Uncle Steve, research, read for yourself, man. Trust yourself, believe in yourself. I mean, God has put that power. He just didn't put it in the priest. You don't have to go and have the priest do all these things for you. You can do it for yourself. The reason why Jesus got nailed to the cross is because they felt like that was just, man, that was blasphemous for you to actually come around and say, you're God. And then tell the people, no, you can do this too. Well, you messing up the control.
Right.
You messing up the program we got going here, man.
Because we put the nail here.
Yeah, and we need these people to come to this specific place to pay these amount of tithes and offerings, blah, blah, blah. We don't need you to tell the people that they have the power within themselves. We need to go kill that dude. But anyway, like I say, I'm sorry I took up all 4 or 5 minutes. King, go ahead, man.
Go ahead, Zeke.
That's my final thoughts.
Outside of him messing up the camera before we started. But anyway, miseducation and misinformation is real. And my thing is, I'm not questioning anything that they teaching our kids in the schools or what the parents are teaching in the household throughout life. But I know for me, I think if you mix it up a little bit, if we do 50-50 one semester, first half of school, we teaching about our history from Christopher Columbus, and then the second semester we talking about Martin Luther King or whatever the case may be. I just know as a person that'll intrigue me even more, because now I'm learning about my culture and I'm learning about my people. And I ain't saying I don't want to learn about what happened before the end and all of that, because I need to be educated on that too, so I can have the right and the decision to go sway which way I want to go.
You know the problem with our people though, man, again, and I've noticed this even when I used to teach, when I was teaching history, our people really didn't take to African American history, man. I mean, we talk about it needs to be, but our kids,
but you know why
there were more white kids that were excelling in those lessons.
Oh, because it was intriguing to them because they didn't know that African Americans was able to make peanut butter.
Could be, but
or doctors.
And you know that's a good point. But I also look at it on the other side too. How come we're not as interested though?
Because you got to look at it, Legend. If you think about it, when you go through school from kindergarten up into high school, what are you being taught?
Yeah, you've been taught a certain way.
So you ain't getting that.
Yeah.
So that's my thing on that, and I think we need to get more educated in that aspect. And I know the Legend, I always say the millennials are not interacting with their kids as much as they should be as far as education, and I agree. Not all, because I don't want y'all women emailing us or the men emailing us.
No, we're not doing. I think the millennials are the one that's kind of getting it right.
With the children, as far as teaching.
I don't think with the children.
No. I think the millennials. I don't think they're as brainwashed as we are. I don't think they have to go through the process that we have to go through. We've been taught a certain way. I think the millennials are more free. I think they're more free thinkers than we are. You know.
But that's my take though. I think we need to get more educated in that, start getting more involved. Like the Legend said, you need to ask the why. We shouldn't get upset about the why. I was that guy when somebody be like, why? I felt like they was questioning me instead of explaining to them so they can get the understanding and know what's going on.
Can I say this before we go? Is that, and this is just my take, is there really a need for Black History Month in school?
No, man.
And the reason why, because we are history, right?
Exactly.
We are American history. So we shouldn't let anyone limit us to 28 or 29 days out of the month. And so
y'all hate?
No, what I'm just saying is so we shouldn't be limited to that because we're so much more than
that's
that.
The bone that they threw us, and we went celebrating in the streets.
So now again, like what we said, times are changing. We have to change with the times, right?
Right.
So
get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Let's teach that year around. Let's not only
they use that though. They use that, King, because they be like, "Well, we gave y'all February, and they ain't got to do nothing."
When they rewrite the American history books, let's be all through there.
Exactly. But first, we got to push through Austin, like my sister said, to get it changed. Because if we don't get it pushed throughout the legislation, through the education board and stuff like that, it's not going to be in the book. So they're going to keep giving us February.
But what I'm saying
don't teach
is
it anymore.
The reason it hasn't been because no one's pushed the issue. I mean,
well, I think it's a much more difficult road than we think, because you got to understand when the whole educational board, when they had back in, I want to say, the early 1900s, you had Rockefeller, you had all these millionaires and billionaires that were on this board of education. When they made this department in the federal government, that was done specifically. They put certain curriculum in there on purpose. That is facts. Yeah. So it's not as simple. Yeah, it's not as simple, in my opinion, just for us to go and march at Austin. What? You're talking about the powers that be that's behind all this mess that's carrying a big stick.
It is not marching, and it's kind of like the show that we had a couple of months back. When I said that the country was built on racist policies, and this was never intended for us. We were never intended to be educated. That's for one. So we were never intended to be a part of the history. Even though we are the history, even though this was built on our ancestors' backs.
Brilliant plan, though, man. You got to give them credit for the plan. You got to give them credit. It was a brilliant plan.
Yeah, I mean, you own 3/5 of a person. I mean, it was just so.
I mean, they covered every aspect of our lives, physically, mentally, psychologically, man.
What they gonna say, what they want, what they gonna ask for.
They got us wanting what we desire. Their lifestyle.
Well,
I mean, we really strive to be an American way of life.
But we
I got
already
something
had
to tell
our
you. We'll
own
talk about
lifestyle.
that off
Okay,
camera.
okay.
I don't even want to say that. Anyway, let's thank some people before we go.
Hey, before we end this show, we lost a good friend, Miss Pookie. You want to speak on that? Was you
Miss
able to
Yolanda
attend?
Robinson. Yeah, I went to the funeral yesterday, man. And the only thing I got to say, man, hey, man, make the most of every moment of your life. Just the way she left this earth. When I say like that, like nobody saw that coming. And so it was a sad funeral, man. And, you know, my condolences to the family, man. Coach Brooks, my God, that's his, that's his second child.
And that's coming from the whole upper room panel. I mean, they was family to us, and it's crazy. When I got the news, I called the legend. He was in his truck, and it seemed like he was upset. He was crying, and I was like, man, I just talked to her like a month ago to get Coach Brooks' number to do the interview, and he was like, I just talked to her the other day. So I mean, that kind of heals. But hey, our condolences go out to the family. We y'all family. We love y'all. We mentioned it on our last show. We mentioned it again on this show to let y'all know that y'all are not forgotten. You know, we missing her as well. She was family too. To all our birthday babies this month and last month, happy birthday. We try to reach out to all y'all and tell y'all happy birthday on Facebook. If we don't, we'll charge it to our heart, charge it to our head. Happy birthday to all our followers. We appreciate y'all for supporting us.
Hold on, before you go further, let me give a special birthday shout out.
Trouble.
No,
you forgot somebody's birthday.
No, my mother's birthday is tomorrow.
Oh man,
so it's tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Mama!
Happy birthday!
So I definitely want to say happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday to ya! Happy birthday! That's bland.
Well, I'm
different. You be singing the bass.
Right.
You like blue?
Exactly.
You like blue? Okay.
Hey,
all
Mama,
right, man. Let's go ahead.
Birthday.
Let's go ahead.
Hey, August the 29th. I hope I got the dates right. We're gonna give y'all more information on this. But in Dickinson, Texas, they already did a Black Lives Matter march. When they did it, it was during a rainy day and stuff like that. But they got a lot of bad flack because some of the protesters came out with guns trying to intimidate the kids.
We should have got the NFAC down here, man.
Maybe we can get them. But anyway, they're going to do it again, March the 29th. I think it's going to be from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mr. Archie Williams is going to be leading that march. He's the big sponsor of it. We're going to have more information on our next show. We'll be posting it throughout the months and the days whenever we get the information on our Facebook page. So look for that. We hope y'all go out there and support them. And then even though we're saying Dickinson, this is for Galveston County. It got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Dickinson can start. They want Hitchcock, Lamarck, Texas City. I'm leaving anybody out. Galveston. Mm-hmm. That's it, right? Galveston County. That's it.
Yeah.
And then we want everybody to come out because then after that, like the legend and the king always say, we don't need to stop right there. Then we need to do it in other cities. But with that being said, be sure to look for that information. We're going to send that out. But with that being said, we want to give a big shout out to a lot of our supporters and our main sponsors being Maduro's Cigar Lounge in Texas City, Jacque's Chicken and Waffles. They the best what?
Best chicken on this side of the Beltway.
Hold on, man. We went from the Mississippi.
They got some competition over there in Houston, bro. So let's keep it on this side of the Beltway, man. Houston got some stuff over there.
Maduro's and Jacque's, they're one of our big sponsors. Sometimes we do live podcasts at their location. Artifact Films, Bench Bullion, Busy Bee, Diversity Realty, Elephant 7 Salon, Era Vintage Clothing, Fortray Photography. No, we ain't doing them anymore. What is that? Kitty Campus Daycare.
Yeah, Kitty Campus Daycare.
Kitty Campus Daycare, LLC in the 30th Street Band.
Yeah.
Pack Tech, Picture Perfect Photography, Tom Monopoly Health, Personal Shelf, Tours Player Association, Sea Grant Enterprise, Meat Smells That Sells, National Scouting Service, and that's it, I think.
Hold on, let us do it, man. These boys, man, they doing it, man.
Out of Galveston, right?
Pats and Damon Norwood, man.
And we've been giving them a big shout out on my personal podcast, Zeke Freaky Tales. Big shout out to them. They from Galveston. They Ball High alumni. We wish y'all the best. Continue up the work and keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Well, that is our show. We thank you for tuning in. We thank those who stuck around through the troubles that we had before the show.
Why we had trouble?
No, we thank
It's
those.
just so tempting, huh? You just can't
God
control
bless
yourself.